do is choose a set of materials. We don't know exactly how many of you will be here. We have an idea of how many sets we have, so it may be that some of you will wind up playing or sharing materials with someone else. But the preference is for you to have materials all to yourself first. Secondly, we'll have a cooperative play experience where you'll play with other people. If we have time, I think we will. Also, I'm going to ask you to do a little reflection and conversation about whatever happens when you sit here and you start fiddling with these materials. We all know that you can use these materials in a million different ways. For arts and crafts, for your math centers, for all sorts of things. Today we're going to look at one possibility. Simply relaxing and fiddling with one set of material. I have a feeling it's going to be a shared experience in a little while. For the first play experience, I'd like to ask you not to talk. Just be with yourself. Talk with yourself rather than someone else. It's a quiet experience. The second experience is cooperative play, and it's more rambunctious, shall we say. On the first play, I'm going to put a little music on to help provide a little quiet to the background. I would suggest you drop your bags, take your shoes off if you like, and just in a moment, come and find a set of material. There's material here, there's material over there, and there's material back there. I'm going to keep time. We'll do about 15 minutes, and then I'll give you a little warning. Preferably one person per set of material. I'd like you to do now, if you're at a stopping place, if you are at a stopping place, just stop there. If you're not quite finished and need to keep going a little bit, that's fine. At this point, what we'd like to do is find out what the experience you had was like. What did you think? What did you feel? What was going on? Or in a different way, what's the little story attached to your play? And I'd like to ask you to share in a very specific way. Would you take turns with one other person? Buddy up, a perfect stranger's okay. Introduce yourself if you don't know that person. And then decide who's going to speak first and who's going to listen. The idea here is, like your play, uninterrupted, free flow of consciousness. Whatever the experience was, you want to have a chance to share it without being asked questions or talking about it. That comes later. We'll do that for 2 minutes or so, and then we'll switch. And each of you will get a chance to both speak and to listen. Okay? So just take a couple of minutes and try sharing one-to-one. Is there anybody who would like to just share a little bit, whatever it may be, that happened with you in your play? You know, it's only you who knows what happened. You were in control and it was your experience. So in that sense, you had all the power and you have all the understanding. And we will all be interested, if we had but time, to hear everybody's summary, mini story, what you are feeling, what you're thinking. It's all yours. It belongs to you. Anybody have anything they'd like to? Yes.
You made an interesting point about her blocks, that when she was starting to create something and once it started rolling, we all started feeling protective of our things. And so we could relate then how a younger child that doesn't have the social skills would be bothered by somebody taking it, because she came over to my side and I was like, there's thousands of buttons. Why do you need this one over here? And then I'm like, okay, there's plenty of buttons. But my first instinct is be like, this is my section here.
Hearing your comments, for all of us, it's like pure. What's arising from the play is pure, and it touches each of us. Everything that's being said, we can relate to. Okay? Anybody else have anything they would like to say? Yes?
My thing right here, I felt no pressure to perform, just feel it and touch it and move it, and if I wanted to change it, I could do that. I didn't feel like, and everybody else was involved, so I didn't feel like I had to have that.
To give the child freedom. It is really freedom for children to just relax and get in touch and then go with that flow. It's really just that. Rather than having a superstructure that we think is important, we get that time later. This is just your time, freedom. Okay? Anything else anybody would like to share? How about from that group way over yonder?
And I allowed it to create itself. And so rather than like running out of ideas, I naturally let it evolve into the next thing and into the next thing, until before I knew it, it was, I don't know, it was kind of, there was another part of me that was playing, and it was just playing and it was letting go. And there was almost like a need to play, and it just kind of evolved, so it was very freeing.
You know, we are asked how play relates to performance standards. Okay, so I'm the administrator. I want to know, where's the math in what you do? Where's the science in this stuff? And there is so much of it in what you did. There's absolute pattern play, there's problem solving, there's mathematical relationships, there's spatial relationships. The problem is, how do we, as the professionals, find a way of articulating the value that we perceive in the children's play? That's really a hard part. Isn't that a hard part? How do you explain to invite parents to do this play so they can get in touch with it? And you know, we're an inch away from literacy. All we could do right now, if we wished to, if we had time, is we could scribe each other's comments and make a little book. I was in Julie's class yesterday, and I saw all sorts of photographs and children's writing that the adults had scribed. It's really a wonderful way to do storytelling. But you guys know that. Okay, someone else had their hand up a moment. Yes, right here.
I'm just adding on to what you said now, but about the value of bringing this to your parents. Because as a teacher, I'm so used to structuring everything and, you know, giving directions and, you know, that I just kind of had a feeling as I was experiencing it, a little bit of a guilt, like, boy, I should really allow my students more of this time. It's so valuable. maybe parents will have the same experience and the feeling themselves if they sit down and do it.
I'm speaking for the child that would probably be overwhelmed, because I was a little overwhelmed when you said do it, because I'm not very creative. But as I got into it, I felt free, and I really enjoyed each of the process.
At different moments in our life, we feel we're not very creative, as we just heard. But in fact, if we look at what's just happened, it's a manifestation of creative thinking. Everything you did over there with those little pieces, to me, is a visual representation of creative contemplation, creative thinking. So if we feel a little bit like, I'm not very creative today, we get there sometimes, what we can do is practice this experience. And you don't need all these materials. One of my favorites, as you might guess, are those blocks, my blocks. And sometimes I just take that set of blocks out and sit down right in the living room and start fiddling. And the television doesn't go on. Just one little set of material, like Julie had in her classroom. Julie, you may want to say what you were saying.
I have a lot of this material, and some of this stuff that I've just saved, you might not think about some things, but tops from anything that you have in your house. Milk jugs, shampoo containers, anything that you can save. Ice cream tops, like if you have birthday parties and the kids bring in those little ice cream cups, save the tops for them, and they come in different colors. Chocolate has a different color, vanilla has a different color. Save those, and what I do is I just have carpet squares, and you can call carpet companies and just ask them to give you what they're going to throw in the garbage, and they'll give them to you. And I just have these material, and obviously it's not a scale like this, but my children do. They just take the material and they have their carpet square and they just sit down and play. And I was telling Dr. Drew the other day, I looked at the clock and my children had been playing for 25 minutes. And I thought to myself, wow, if somebody walked in here, they might say, Julie, why are your children sitting here doing a structured activity for 25 minutes when in reality it wasn't structured? And why would I tell them to clean up when they were not ready to clean up? Because they were all engaged, just like you guys were just engaged a little bit ago. So.
My heart says that this is a sacred experience. That play is a sacred experience that touches the spirit within us. Maybe not all the time. Maybe not everybody feels it, but it's there. Now, having said that, the 3 parts left for our time together. We have about a half hour. Here's what I would like to propose. One is we take literally 2 minutes and just scribe thoughts that come to mind on that little piece of paper that you have. The second part is that we would actually do cooperative play. And the third thing, of course, would be a little cleanup. So if you take just 2 minutes and just write down what your experience was, please.
I wrote down that I was not upset when the first one fell over. I figured I'd do it differently so it would be stronger. Then I wanted to balance it on the bottom so I could make more seesaws. I wanted one could spin, but there were no tubes with them.